Hey,
Hey,
y'all.
y'all.
I'm Mary,
I'm Christina.
and this is.
True Crime Down Yonder.
Good afternoon, y'all. It is the.
Yeah, it just turned. Well, no, it's 1 o'clock. Anyway,
I think this is like the first time we've ever actually successfully recorded during the day, like early day.
yeah, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, and especially not having the kids running around everywhere.
Right, that's always nice.
So, yeah, it's just us. So, welcome, guys. Welcome back.
Yeah, and always thanks for listening. So it's been a rough couple weeks past. Yeah, rough couple weeks for true crime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we just felt like we needed to mention that and mention that our hearts go out to the families of the victims of the Atlanta Asian spa murders and also the Colorado grocery store murders. I'm not sure what they're calling that yet, but it was 2 mass shootings that have occurred within days of each other. So don't know really what's up with the world these days, but
That's
you know,
horrific.
we just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. The case we're actually talking about today does involve
A
mass
mass
shooting.
murder.
It
Yeah.
does. So we didn't want to be insensitive to that. We had already planned to do this episode before those incidents happened.
Yeah. And I mean, it happened. It's true crime. I mean,
It
you know,
is.
we didn't make
And
it up. So
our hearts definitely go out to those people involved in that. It's been ridiculous. The mass shooting rate has gone up tremendously over the years.
yeah. And it's just so terrifying that living in this world, you have to be afraid to go to the grocery store
Or to the movie theater.
or you know, out to eat or something. You have to fear that somebody is going to come in there and just shoot the place up. It's just horrific, really.
It really
Um,
is. You have to have your eyes open at all times anytime you go out. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we just wanted to throw that out there before we got started today. And to our people in Colorado and down in Atlanta, we love you guys.
We do. And to our, if we have any Asian listeners, we love you
Yeah,
as well.
we do.
We support you. Anyway, okay, so
Well, hold
better news.
on. Well, yeah.
I just want to give a couple shout outs to some other podcasts and fellow podcasters because what I wanted to do, because we're so new, and of course we're trying to get support, but also I know what it's like to go through this, so I want to support other podcasts that are fairly new.
So
And-
Christina and I, we've agreed that we were going to start going down our followers.
Yeah, our followers are on Instagram because we have a few that are other podcasts.
Right.
And integrity is a big deal to me. So
Absolutely.
I go through and I try to listen to podcasts. And I'll be honest, like I've run across some that I just really was not a fan of and really didn't want to throw it out to you guys. And in those situations, I mean, I would just listen until I couldn't listen anymore. I didn't want to listen anymore. I don't leave these people bad reviews or anything like that.
No.
But I'm not going to recommend it for you guys. So, but there were a couple that I found really interesting or really funny. One of them is called Encyclopedia Obscura.
Yeah.
So check that out. It's kind of a paranormal podcast because I'm into true crime and paranormal.
That was the one we
So-
were actually kind of listening into the car last week, wasn't it? Didn't you play it on the car when we were going
I don't know.
somewhere?
I was playing a few of them because
Yeah.
I tried out a bunch of different podcasts, but I really like that one, so I wanted to give them a shout out. So when you're not listening to this podcast, maybe check them out.
I came across the Real Crime podcast.
Yeah, and I
And-
listened to that as well. So
They were pretty good.
They were good.
Christina and Kristen up in Connecticut, they're really good too. And also, it's crazy because Christina from True Crime Down Yonder and Christina from
the Real Crime Podcast.
had the exact same birthday.
Yeah,
Same day, same year, same name.
yeah,
So
yeah. It's odd.
But yeah, they were really. I reached out to them. They were really nice. So yeah, we're just kind of trying to rub elbows a little bit.
Yeah, so it's like,
Come together.
share us, we share you, but yeah, just wanted to mention those. They're pretty good if you'll go check those out. So, anyway, moving on to what we're actually going to do today.
Yes.
I am covering the case of Todd Kohlhepp, who was a serial killer. Well, he's still alive.
Yeah.
So he's a serial killer, mass murderer, rapist, real estate agent, avid Amazon reviewer, and all around douchebag.
Well, he's busy.
Yeah, he definitely a multitasker. We'll give him that. He did some crazy shit. There's so much information to this case, and it's going to end up taking 2 parts, 2 episodes, because we're not going to just make this a 2-hour long thing. So,
This is part 1.
yeah, part 1 of this douchebag. Let's get in. Let's get into it. Okay.
Let's get it.
So I'm going to start where shit hits the fan, where the whole world knows who this douchebag is. So on November 3rd, 2016, an investigative team led by Detective Tom Clark arrived at the home of Todd Kohlhepp in Woodruff, South Carolina. They're there to execute a search warrant because they are they are looking for 2 missing persons by the name of Kayla Brown and Charlie Carver.
Okay.
These people have been missing for 65 days. And the reason they're on Todd's property is because their cell phone records. The last place that Kayla's cell phone was pinged was at his house.
Okay.
They go to Tom's house, and Detective Clark and a few other officers actually go into his house. They serve him with the search warrant and let him know that they're searching the property. They meet his dog, Taz, who, of course, is ecstatic to see them. He's such a cute little dog. Todd's like, well, this is my puppy. This is my...
That poor damn dog.
This is my watchdog. And he's like, this is my vicious watchdog.
That poor puppy
and,
dog.
Anyway, and you can see all this on the video, the body cam footage. One of the main sources that I used for the research of this case it's a documentary, and it's a 3-part documentary on the ID, and it's called Serial Killer Devil Unchained.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole thing is probably like close to 6 hours long. They really get in depth in this,
right.
But you can see on this body cam footage everything that is happening here. And so Detective Clark starts talking to Todd, and he tells Todd why they're there, and he asks about Charlie and Kayla. And Todd tells the police that Kayla and Charlie did come to the property. He had hired them to do some work for him, but they came out there the day that they went missing, but that they were only there for about an hour and a half, and then they left, and he had not seen or heard from them since.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure.
They had already caught him in a lie because they said, well, the cell phone records indicate that they were here all day.
Yeah.
So how can you explain that? And at that point, he's like, well, I just don't have the answers for you. While they're talking to Todd, Detective Clark gets a call on his cell phone. And it's from one of the investigators outside. Because at the same time, while they're talking to Todd and they're in the house, other police officers are searching the property.
Right.
The person on the other end tells Detective Clark that he needs to call the sheriff because they have found Kayla.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Was she alive?
Yeah, she's alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. On the property, they find a shipping container. And this thing is huge. This is like, I don't know. How would I describe this? You can walk inside of it.
Is it like a storage pod?
Yeah, it's like a storage pod.
Okay.
Yeah, like
I know
people
exactly
get
what
to
you're
keep their
talking
stuff in or to pack it up and move it
It's
or
like
whatever.
a portable shed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They find this shipping container, and they get into the shipping container, and inside they find a cage. And the sheriff could only describe this cage as being like a shark cage. Have you ever seen that when people go into the water and they're hanging out with sharks and they put themselves in a cage so the sharks can't get to them?
Yeah.
And inside this cage, chained up by her neck, is Kayla Brown.
So he just treated her like a fucking dog?
Yeah, actually, he was treating his dog better than he was her.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Because the dog's in the house. And
yeah, I think, well, I hate people that get dogs and then just chain them to like the tree outside.
Oh well,
And then
don't
call
worry.
them
He
the
wasn't
dog.
doing that to his dog.
Yeah, he was
that-
just doing it to a
He was
human.
just doing it to people. It's cool.
Yeah, what a fucking dick. Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
So anyway, yeah, they find her chained by her neck. They, of course, rescue her, and she tells detectives that Todd has kept her captive for 65 days. When they asked about her boyfriend, Charlie, she tells them that Todd shot him, but that Todd had been bragging to her about being a serial killer and a mass murderer, and told her that there were several other victims, including some that were buried on the property.
Okay, why was he telling her all this? I mean,
Bragging.
oh, okay.
He's one of
Oh,
those.
he's one of those. Yeah, I've heard him talk before. He
Yeah,
sounds
he's
like a
one of those.
narcissist.
and probably to intimidate her too.
Yeah, like be scared of me because this is what I've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will come back to more on that later. Let's get into Todd Kohlhepp. He was born on March 7th, 1971. He was born in Florida, and his name at birth was Todd Christopher Samsel.
Okay.
He was raised in South Carolina and Georgia. His parents divorced at age 2, and somewhere in here, and I'm not sure really at what age, and I'm thinking it may have been after his parents' divorce or before she married the stepfather. Or I guess it would have had to have been later than that because I think she remarried a year later. He had been sent to live on his grandparents' farm in South Carolina. And he described his grandfather as being abusive. He said his grandfather thought it was funny to hit him and his mother with a cattle prod.
What
Yeah.
the fuck?
He describes that, but
It's not funny, but
no,
it's
no,
just the audacity of people. I mean,
yeah, but who knows if that's true? I mean,
that's.
it's
I
Todd
mean, a lot.
Kohlhepp.
There's the people. He has been known to lie. So
Yeah, right. So, but anyway, his mother remarried, and his psychological reports later told that Todd had an unhealthy relationship with his stepfather. He was described as a troublesome child. He, at one point, had been referred to by a neighbor as a devil on a chain.
Oh shit.
That's a nice
Yeah.
reputation to have, huh?
Yeah, the neighbor said that about
Yeah.
him.
A neighbor said that about him.
I wonder what he did to the fucking neighbor.
We'll get to that.
Oh, okay.
As a child, even in nursery school, he was considered a bully. He hit classmates and often destroyed their school projects. At some point in his childhood, he was rumored to have killed a dog with a BB gun.
Oh, what a
And
you're a
Tom,
fucking animal.
Todd denies this. He says that it was actually his neighbor that shot the dog.
Sure, it was. Nobody should be shooting the damn dog.
That's true, but actually, John Douglas.
I'm a puppy advocate.
John Douglas, who did the. Have you ever seen Mindhunter on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay, so that series was based off of John Douglas. So he's an FBI profiler.
Okay.
He's retired now, I think, but from the FBI. But he'll do profiles for law enforcement from
Even
time
after
to time.
retirement?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and he's profiled Tom Kohlhepp.
Okay.
And he claims that he actually believes Todd on this, that he believes he didn't kill the dog. I don't know.
Okay.
But also, his mother said that he killed a goldfish with Clorox bleach because he wanted a gerbil instead.
Okay.
But Todd also denies this. He says that what happened to the goldfish was he was told by his mother that he couldn't go outside and play until he cleaned his fish tank. And he's trying to expedite the process so that he can go outside sooner. So instead of, I know when you clean a fish tank, like you have to take the fish out.
And then you have to wait, and then you have to like shock, like you don't want to shock it either.
Yeah.
So it's actually a process. to actually
It's
clean
a
the fish
process,
tank, yeah.
and I guess it takes a while. I don't know. I don't have goldfish.
I just learned that from
Because
Mom.
I will kill goldfish, and not intentionally, but just because they don't bark or scream at me or anything, so I don't know to feed them.
Well,
It's just best for me to not have
The
them.
only reason why I know the certain things I did is because Mom taught me that whenever I got my little
Yeah.
fish tank. And she was like, you can't shock them. You have to get them used to the temperature.
Right. Yeah, I knew it was, you kind of had to ease them in and out of that situation.
Yeah.
But I guess he's trying to just hurry up so he can go play outside. So he
Right.
thinks, okay, I can dump some bleach in here and
It's
it'll be
clean.
fine. Yeah, it'll be clean. It'll be fine. Ended up killing the fish. So
I guess that makes
he
sense.
says that was an accident. That makes sense. And that was another thing that, John Douglas said. Because when John Douglas was talking about this, the homicidal triage, as they call it, is kind of predicts homicidal behavior later in life. It's the traits of a lot of serial killers in their childhood, and that consists of animal cruelty, fire setting,
Wetting the bed.
yeah,
Stink.
enuresis. But animal cruelty is being the big one.
Right.
Like the other stuff, plenty of kids
Do
that, and
regular,
it doesn't
but
really
if you're
mean that
killing
they're
the family pet. There's an issue.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you're intentionally killing animals, that's an issue. And so John Douglas says he does believe Todd's story about the animals. So, and he also says that he believed that Todd could have been saved in childhood. I mean, somewhere things went wrong. He says he wasn't just born destined to be this kind of person, that he feels like he could have been redeemed. But that's not how it went. At the age of 9, he was hospitalized in a psychiatric hospital for his aggression against other children. He spent 3.5 months there. Todd grew increasingly frustrated with the relationship between him and his stepfather. They just weren't getting along, and he wanted to live with his biological father, who he really didn't even know that well, in Arizona.
Okay.
And this is at age 12. Did I say that? The age
No,
of
you
12?
didn't.
Yeah, so at the age of 12, he decided he wanted to live with his biological father.
Okay.
And his mother at first told him that he couldn't because she had just bought him a new bedroom suit.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that. I guess if you spend a lot of money on a kid buying new bedroom furniture, you wouldn't want him to just move out.
Right.
So she gives this to him as the reason why he can't go live with his dad. So he takes a claw hammer and destroys all of the furniture in his room.
What a little shit.
I know.
I'd be in there and be like, bye.
It'd be hard for me.
Bye. Get the fuck out.
That's what happened. She's like, "Yep, okay, you can go."
Get your ass out of here.
So in 1983, he's sent to live with his dad in Arizona. Also during this time, his mother and stepfather are separated. He goes to live with him, and he takes his father's surname. I don't know why he didn't have it to begin with, but
So is his father...
Kohlhepp, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
He took the name Kohlhepp.
Okay.
I don't know if he took his mother's maiden name or what the deal is with that, but he took his father's surname after he moved with him. Again, because everybody is just so mean to Todd, he claims that his father was abusive and cruel and negligent. He said that he was rarely around, that he was more consumed with his personal life, his dating life, than he was Todd. So he just left him alone most of the time.
Oh, poor Todd.
I know, poor Todd. His father refutes this claim. His father claims that he didn't get any of the background information on Todd's behavior beforehand, before he moved in. And he said for a while, Todd was doing really well. He said he was trying to bond with him. He says Todd had a dog named Alex and that they were inseparable. He says that he had bought Todd model airplane kits because Todd seemed really into that, and he seemed really into military type stuff.
Yeah.
And he had voiced that he wanted to be a pilot when he grew up.
Okay.
So his dad's trying to foster that interest by buying him model planes and trying to build these planes with him as a bonding measure. He says that Todd did have a hard time making friends, and he was trying to counsel him on how he could do that better. He said he just didn't get along with other kids, and, he mistreated them, so nobody wanted to be friends with him. He also said that he kind of kept him on a short leash and that he was very attentive. He said that he contacted his teachers weekly to get kind of a progress report on how Todd was doing in school. And he owned a barbecue restaurant and every day after school, Todd would go to the barbecue restaurant and do his homework. So he would be there with his dad until he got off.
Now, this is from his dad's account.
This is his dad's account, yeah.
Okay.
Because Todd says he was abusive and was rarely home.
And gives himself a reason to be the way he is. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, the one night that his dad admits to leaving him home alone, so who knows, maybe Todd was right about the guy, or maybe this is just
True.
a coincidence. But at the time, Todd was 15. So, I mean, you can leave, especially in the 80s, like, you're
They
being
were
left
leaving
home.
us at home at
You're
like
being
8.
left
They
home,
were
yeah,
leaving
left
in
home at the age of
90s.
8. So 15 is not a big deal. But I guess if you have a kid with homicidal tendencies,
You might want to get
maybe you don't want to do that. He left him home alone with a neighbor to supervise. So I don't know if that neighbor was just checking in every now and then or watching him from the window or what. But so on November 25th, 1986, and this is in Tempe, Arizona, that's where Todd and his father was living. When Todd Kohlhepp was 15 years old, he kidnapped a 14-year-old girl.
What?
Yeah. Her name, and this was in the ID documentary. She now goes by the name of Christy Granado, and I don't know if that was her name at the time.
Yeah.
She may have changed her last name, got married or whatever. He went to her house. She was home with her brother and sister that she was babysitting. Her parents were not home, and this was his neighbor. So he goes over to her house and he knocks on the door, and Christy answers. And he tells Christy that a guy that she thinks is cute is outside waiting for her. He's down on the corner and he wants her to come out with him. Well, she tells him that she's babysitting her brother and sister and that she's not allowed to leave the house.
Right.
And tells him that he has to leave. So she shuts the door and goes back inside. And Todd persistently knocks on her door, trying to get her to come back outside. And at one point, he walks around the back of the house and goes to the back door and continues to knock. And at that point, she's thinking, well, maybe if I just go outside and talk to him for a minute, he'll leave me alone.
Yeah, right.
So she goes out the back door.
And she knew him prior?
Yeah, well, they were neighbors. I would assume they probably went to school together.
Yeah.
And one of his motivations, I guess, was for doing this was he had a crush on her, but she was into his friend.
Okay.
I guess he had a friend and she had a crush on him and didn't really like Todd like that.
Okay.
Anyway, when she opens the back door and goes outside, Todd immediately pulls a gun and tells her that she's coming with him. She claims while she's walking around the back of her house, her fight or flight kicked in. And she says she doesn't really know why she did this, but she reaches behind her and grabs the barrel of the gun. Todd pulled the trigger, and this gun's like in her face, but it misfired.
Shoo.
Yeah.
That was God.
Yeah. But at that point, I guess she figured I probably should do what this dude says to do.
Right.
So he walks her to his house. He takes her into the house and down a hallway to what we can assume is his bedroom. He tells her to get naked, which she does, and then he ties her hands behind her back with rope and puts duct tape over her face, over her mouth, and rapes her.
Oh, my God. We probably should have put a warning on this before we
Yeah.
did trigger warning,
Maybe
guys.
we need to go back and do that. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it is true crime.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to get into it. I mean, there's a few more details about the rape, but I'm not really going to get into it. She's told her story on that ID documentary. But during all of this, her little brother noticed that she was gone. And her little brother got scared and called 911. So the police have arrived at her house, and through the windows in Todd's room, she can see the flashing lights, and she knows that the police are probably at her house.
Looking for her?
Yeah. So Todd freaks out, and she begs Todd to let her go. And Todd tells her, no, I have to kill you now. She continues to plead with him to please let her go. And she tells him that if he lets her go, she won't tell anybody what happened. She'll go home and she'll tell her parents and the police that she was out helping him look for a dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he lets her go and walks her most of the way back to her house, but he tells her if she tells anybody about what happened, that he would go and kill her siblings.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So she gets home, and of course her parents are home and the police are all there, and she tells everyone that they were out looking for a dog.
That's what you originally told him?
Yeah, that's what she told him when she first got home, that she was with Todd and they were just out looking for a dog. Mm-hmm. But everybody could see how traumatized she was.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so they kept kind of pressing her for more answers because they knew that didn't happen. And she said that it was actually her dad that started asking her questions, and she said she could tell how hard it was for him to ask her these things. But she eventually did break down and tell her dad what had happened to her.
Yeah. I'm
And
glad she did tell him.
yeah. So at that point, the police go over to Todd's house to apprehend him. And an officer by the name of Betsy Cable went to apprehend Todd. She goes to his door and he opens it. He won't come out of the house, and she can see that he has a shotgun down by his side.
Okay.
So she is trying to get him to come out, and all he is doing is asking her what's going to happen to me and how much time am I going to get for this.
What?
Yeah.
Like, he didn't say, I'm sorry. He
Yeah,
didn't, he didn't try to, like, he was just more
yeah,
worried about,
he was like, how much time am I
all
going to
right,
get for
so
this?
look, what's going on?
What am I looking at here? When she sees the shotgun, she pulls her gun, and she says that could have gone a different direction. She says that Todd could have easily have shot her, or she could have killed Todd, but it didn't work out that way. He ended up cooperating and coming out, and they were able to arrest him. She says that she, to this day, she still thinks about what if that had happened differently.
Mm-hmm.
If either he had killed her or she had killed them, it could have saved lives in the future.
Right.
Because either way, if he had killed her, of course, he'd probably be in prison for the rest of his life.
Well, I hope it would have went the other way. Not her getting killed,
Yeah.
but she would have killed him.
Yeah, and she says that still kind of haunts her. So he was charged with kidnapping, sexual assault, and committing a dangerous crime against children. In 1987, he pled guilty to kidnapping, and the other charges were dropped.
I'm not happy with that.
Yeah, I'm not either. But even though the rape charge was dropped, he still had to register as a sex offender.
I'm already getting pissed off at this case. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's sentenced to 15 years and required to register as a sex offender.
Mm-hmm.
During his incarceration, I'm thinking when he was awaiting trial, a psychiatric evaluation was done on him. He was diagnosed with psychopathy, borderline personality disorder. My words are getting all messed up today.
It happens.
But also they found that he had an IQ of 118. The judge determined that he was not likely to be rehabilitated. He was sentenced to 15 years. Now, he could have been sentenced to more. He could have gotten up to, I think it
15
was...
years is not shit, though.
Yeah, but I guess he is only 15 years old. So maybe they were taking that into account. The judge, that's, a source of regret for him, too.
I understand.
And it was his first offense. So I guess you have to look at it,
there's no
their
way
point of view.
People knowing what somebody's going to do in the future either. So, I mean, I'm not going to get pissed off at that part, but it sounds like this is just the start of somebody falling through the cracks.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I see where this is going.
Yeah. Well, he serves like 14 years of his sentence, and he was released in August of 2001, at which point he moved back to South Carolina to be with Mommy.
Mommy?
While he was incarcerated...
So, wait a minute. So he was in prison in Arizona, correct?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go back. I guess when he got convicted or when he pled to this, he was, of course, in a juvenile facility. They said they did have some incidents with him, violence, I guess, against other juvenile inmates. But when he went to big boy prison, he quit that shit.
I would assume so.
So he did his time at the Iman State Prison in Arizona.
Yeah, in the prison system, like, they do not treat sex offenders very well.
Yeah. So I guess he figured when he got to the big boy prison, he was going to keep his head down.
Yeah.
Lay low, try to get through it.
That's usually what they do anyway.
Right. So, but while he was incarcerated, and I can only assume that he was 15, he had not yet graduated high school, so I don't know if he completed high school while he was in there or if he got a GED. Mm-hmm. But he was able to attend and graduate from college while he was in prison.
Okay.
Yeah. So he attended Central Arizona College, and I guess this is an in-prison program, and earned a Bachelor of Science degree in computer science.
All right.
So when he gets out and he moves back to South Carolina, he's worked as a graphic designer. He also began studying at Greenville Technical College, and in 2003 transferred to the University of South Carolina upstate. He ended up graduating in 2008 with another Bachelor of Science degree, this time in Business Administration and Marketing. Despite being a sex offender, he was able to obtain a real estate license in 2006. Yeah. So the reason for that was back in 2006, new applicants for real estate licenses in South Carolina did not have to undergo a background check.
I'm glad you started explaining this because you saw the look on my face. You were
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Later they did. When he was caught back in 2016, he was still a licensed real estate agent. They enacted a law where they did have to be background checked, but the older ones, the ones that were already licensed, were grandfathered in. They didn't have to go back. Yeah, they didn't have to go back and background check them.
Yeah. Well,
So he was able to hold this license.
didn't Uncle Terry say that he knew somebody that worked with him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, but yeah,
Right.
our uncles live out in the
Greenville.
Spartanburg area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if Uncle Larry teaches at that college.
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
I don't think he. And
He
he
was
wasn't
teaching.
then, of course. Anyway, what was I saying? I guess when he did apply to be a real estate agent, I guess the application did ask about prior convictions, but he lied about the kidnapping and rape charge, and he said it was just a, quote, unfortunate incident involving an ex-girlfriend.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
Here's
No
your
worries.
license.
Don't need to look into that.
I would think you would definitely want real estate agents to
They're in
undergo.
homes.
Yes, right.
They're in homes.
Yeah.
They service people with children.
And that's
Yeah.
that's a scary thing because it's like if you list your home with them, they know where you live. If you buy a home from them,
They know where you
they
live.
know where you live.
They know who's living in there with you.
And then, you tend to tell them because you're trying to communicate like your
Right.
housing needs to them. You tend to tell them that you have children and
right.
they know where your children go to school and they know how old they are. So I'm not sure why it took so long for South Carolina to start background checking their real estate agents, but probably regret that now.
Yeah.
So after Todd obtains his license, he immediately starts his own company and calls it Todd Kohlhepp and Associates. It had about a dozen employees, and at one point he was recognized as a top-selling agent in the Carolina region.
Okay.
Yeah. And Todd said that originally he didn't intend to stay in real estate for very long. He said he was just doing it to
Pass the time?
no, for his resume.
Okay.
Yeah, he thought it would just look good on his resume. But once he got into it and started selling property, he realized how much money he could make out of it.
Okay.
So this was how he managed to drive a BMW. We'll talk later about his compound. That's what he called it.
His compound?
Yeah, his house and his property. He owned 96 acres.
I'm sure he had a nice house.
And spent like $80,000 having it all fenced in. At one point, he even got a private pilot license because he was
just
all
does
into
it all,
he was
doesn't
all
he?
into planes. Yeah, he had a shit ton of time on his hands, like, and
he just
so-
became a pilot. That's not just something you get overnight either.
right, yeah. So it seems like he's trying to make something of himself, like his life's turning around.
Well, that's good, but
You would think,
Yeah.
and you would think if you had all this, you wouldn't have to still fucking kill people, but he did.
that's what. Well, he got a whole second chance. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
no, right?
He had a whole second chance, and
Yeah.
he literally took it, and he even made something of himself. Why did you need to?
Because he's fucking sick.
Yeah, I know. That's what keeps us doing this stuff.
He was a
but-
born douchebag.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the Superbike murders. And this crime was a cold case, but Todd later, when he was apprehended for the Kayla Brown kidnapping, he confessed to it. So he took responsibility for this case. Now, there's still some controversy. Some people still don't believe that Todd committed this crime, but he did plead guilty to the charges, so he is serving time for it.
Okay.
This occurred on November 6, 2003, and I've noticed, I don't know, November's not a good month for him. It's like naughty November. I guess he does bad shit in November.
No act right November.
Yeah, so the rape occurred in November, and this occurred in November, and the Kayla Brown, they arrested him in November, so it just seems like
November's just not his month.
it's just not his month, yeah. Or maybe it is.
Maybe it's like the way the moon
He's
is.
like, it's November. I can finally do bad things. Anyway, like I said, it occurred on November 2003. A customer by the name of Noli had gone into the Superbike store in Spartanburg. Uh, Actually, I don't think it was in Spartanburg. I'll have to
It
look
was
up the.
Spartanburg, I believe.
It was Spartanburg that this. Okay. Well, this was a motorcycle, ATV, go kart
Shop.
shop. I think they also did maintenance and repairs there. So this customer, Noli, he was also friends with a lot of the employees at the shop, and he would just go there to kind of hang out. He goes to the store and finds the bodies of store owner Scott Ponder, his mother and bookkeeper Beverly Guy, manager Brian Lucas, and mechanic Chris Sherbert, all shot execution style in the head. Of course, he calls 911. He's freaking out. He tells them all that, that everybody in the store has been shot. And of course, police go out, but police could not find any DNA or fingerprints that would lead them to a suspect. There was no evident clear motive of why someone would do this. I'm thinking the shop didn't have cameras. They start investigating it with not much to go on, and they really start barking up the wrong tree. At first, they're starting to look at Noel Lee, who was the guy that found them, who had frequented the shop.
Right.
So they suspected him at first, but they were able to rule him out. And then they start to look at Scott Ponder, the owner's wife.
Really?
Yes. He had been married. He was married to a woman named Melissa.
Okay.
Her and Scott had been married for several years. After he started his bike shop and became pretty successful, they decided that they wanted to start a family, but it took some time for them. She had trouble getting pregnant, but she finally had gotten pregnant. And she said that Scott had gone with her to the first ultrasound for the baby on Tuesday, and he was murdered on Thursday.
God damn.
Yeah. Well, they start looking at her, and they theorize that she's been having an affair and that she either,
He wasn't the daddy?
yeah, but that she's having an affair and that she was pregnant by someone else and that she's trying to get him gone. Doesn't really explain why she would go shoot up everybody in the bike shop or why she would have somebody do that, but this is the direction that they're taking with it.
Were they able to find that she was having an affair with him? Or
No.
did they just assume it?
No, I mean, it was just a lead. I mean, I guess you have to look at every possible angle, but this poor woman, I'm surprised she didn't sue the shit out of them.
Yeah, because that's like slandering
Because
her
they put her
character,
through so much shit. And they questioned her repeatedly. She had to take a polygraph test. She passed the polygraph test, as did Noli, by the way. He also took polygraph. But she had gone and spoke after her baby was born. The baby was about 6 months old. She was called back to the police department, I guess, to interview again, and she brought her baby. Then she left, and they called her a few weeks later and told her that they needed to talk to her again. And this time they said that while she was at the police station, she changed her baby's diaper. By the way, this baby was born. She named him Scott Jr. after his father. She changed the baby's diaper and threw it in a trash can. Well, they went and got that diaper out
and tested
and
DNA.
DNA tested it
What the
against the DNA from the victims. So they inform her that her child is not the child of Scott Ponder, her husband. And she knows this isn't true. So she tells them, okay, I'm going to bring my son to the police station. You're going to swab his mouth. I'm going to watch you take this test. I'm going to watch you bag it up, and I'm going to watch you mail it. And that's the only way that I'm going to trust your results. So they do this.
And they allow her to watch.
Yeah, they allow her to watch step by step, and they send this off to the lab. It comes back again that the child is not the child of Scott. And she's like, there's just no way. I don't know how y'all did this, but there's just absolutely no way. And it actually, the DNA had come back as the child of the manager and Scott's friend, Brian Lucas.
Oh.
Yeah. Twice it came back as Brian Lucas's biological child.
Oh.
So they believe that she was having an affair with Brian, and for some reason she had to kill Scott, but Brian got killed as well. But she was their person of interest, and she could not explain these DNA results. But later it came out, and they had to apologize to her. They switched the DNA.
Oh, so
Yeah.
they
When they
used
collect-
Brian's and
Right.
said it was Scott's.
Yeah, that
Damn, dude, they fucked her up.
it did
Dude,
fuck her up.
I'm
And she,
I'm gonna tell her I'm sorry for them. I mean, because that's
Yeah.
gotta be hard. She just lost her husband. She's having
Yeah.
to raise. She went through pretty much her whole pregnancy without him,
yeah.
and having the baby and everything. That's gotta be fucking
And then
tough.
and that's what she said, because during all this, I guess it had gotten out to the public that the child was not Scott's and all of this. And so she was getting hell from people in the community. So she ended up moving out of state. She ended up moving to Arizona
I don't blame her.
to get away from all the public scrutiny.
They just slandered the fuck out of her.
Yeah. And they're not sure how the DNA results or how the DNA got switched when they collected it. They don't know if it was the lab or if it was the police when they were collecting it. They have no idea. But yeah, they had to go back and apologize to her for that. So after that, the case pretty much just goes cold. They don't have enough to really pin it on anybody. They're not really sure what happened, and it goes cold for 13 years until in 2016 when Tom Kohlhepp takes responsibility. And it turns out that Todd was a customer of the bike store.
Okay.
He had bought a motorcycle from there, and according to Todd, the motorcycle had been stolen, and he believed that an employee of the store had something to do with it, that they had come and stole his bike. They sold it to him, and then they came and stole it back.
Okay.
Yeah. He claimed the reason that he did this is they pissed him off because he had gone, his bike got stolen, and he went back to the shop to try to buy another bike, which if they stole from you, why would you do business with them at all?
Right.
But that he had gone back to the shop looking at another bike, and they said that he did not know how to ride a bike. And they were kind of picking on him about it, and they said something like, "Is this bike going to get stolen too?" And just made a few little jokes at his expense, and this pissed him off, and this is why he committed the crime.
I mean, people piss me off all the time.
I
I'm
know,
not gonna
that's
go
what
in
I'm
there.
saying. If people picking on, if I killed everybody that picked on me, I'd kill like half my family, all my coworkers. I mean, there wouldn't be many living people.
Yeah.
But I mean, they said that's how Tom, or why do I want to call him Tom? His name is Todd. Can I just call him Douche?
There we go. Douche.
Douche?
Douche Kohlhepp.
Douche Kohlhepp? Yeah.
Kohlhepp. I said
Kohlhepp.
Kohlhepp. Kohlhepp.
So anyway, but they said that's how Douche handles things. Douche Todd handles things. He
Douche
would
Todd. That sounds
douchebag
better.
Todd.
Douchebag Todd.
That's how he handled shit. It's like he could not. He was a true narcissist, and he could not take any form of criticism, and that he would react by retaliating every time. It's like if you did something to Todd, no matter how small it was, he would get back at you somehow.
Why don't, if you're that type of person, why don't you just do it old school and just, hey, come on, let's take this outside, you know? Like,
Right.
you have to go to ruining lives or
Yeah.
ending them. But okay.
So this is where we're going to leave you guys.
Oh, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was getting into this shit.
Yeah. Well, then you'll have to come back next time. Of course you'll be here. You're the host.
Yeah, I know.
On our next episode, we'll talk more about Kayla Brown and Charlie Carver, and then his other two victims that they find on his compound, and we'll discuss conversations with Todd and all I can say about his mom is bless her heart, and I don't mean that in a good way.
Oh, the Southern bless her heart.
The Southern bless her heart. We will discuss his mom and her comments.
Oh, God. Is this another Chris Watts' mom?
I don't know if she's that bad,
Cindy.
but
Cindy Watts.
yeah. We'll discuss just his downward spiral, I guess, and
So guys, we are planning to have that out to you by Sunday, I think.
Yeah, we're going to work on it. We
Um,
were going to try to record it today, but it's just so much. I just couldn't get it all done. So,
it's okay.
but I think this is a good place to leave off.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
guy's a douchebag for real.
For real.
I'm kind of pissed off a little bit.
I'll give you one little spoiler alert. His mother, she did an interview with 48 Hours, which is another source that I use for this. 48 Hours,
Was it
Buried
mystery or
Secret. No, I think it was just 48 Hours. It was
Okay.
48 Hours. The episode was entitled Buried Secrets. And they
Mhm.
did an interview with his mom. And his mom made the statement, Todd's not a monster. Ted Bundy's a monster. Ted Bundy's a monster. Not, but not Todd.
Yeah, no, dude, your fucking kid's a monster. He's a narcissistic
Yeah.
monster.
And I mean, I get how hard that is. I mean, I would assume you would be in
Your
denial.
kid can be an asshole and you can still love them, but don't sit there and say they're not an asshole.
Yeah, but we'll get into more on the statements that she made, and also we'll talk about the statements that Todd made, and also about Todd's girlfriend. She didn't have anything to do with any of it,
He had a girlfriend.
but he did have a girlfriend. Yeah,
Really?
and also his Amazon reviews, because unlike myself, he leaves reviews. I'm really bad about that.
I left a review for our studio equipment.
Okay. I always mean to, and I especially like to get on there if there's like smaller businesses that are selling through Amazon, because I like to show them support.
Right.
I always mean to go back and do reviews because I find reviews really helpful
Yeah.
when if I'm buying something that I don't know anything about. Even with like clothes and stuff, I'll go look at the pictures. I'll find somebody that's like my body type and see how it looks on them. So I find them really helpful, and I want to leave them, but I just never find the time to do it. Like I don't do it.
Yeah, it's not really something you think about.
It's sad that this douchebag is better at something than I am.
But
Anyway, yep. So tune in next time.
Yep. And
We wrap this douchebag up.
in the meantime,
I don't know.
okay, look.
That's
in the meantime,
your
listen,
job.
guys. Listen, guys. In the meantime, listen. Share us. You can't rate us yet, but pretty soon you
Sharing's
will.
caring.
Sharing is caring.
We're waiting on iTunes.
We're waiting on
Hopefully soon.
iTunes, and we're hoping people will be able to rate us, give us some feedback on how we're doing. I know we're still pretty new at this, but we're
Yeah.
learning as we're going. But if you have any case suggestions, we love those. Send them to tcdownyonder@gmail.com. Also, join our Facebook group or follow our page at www.facebook.com/
And our Instagram.
tcdownyonder. Hold on, Missy. Our Instagram is tc_downyonder. And guys, we are recently on Pandora, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, of course Spotify, Deezer now.
Okay.
And we're on Google Podcast. We're on TuneIn for Alexa now. We are also, I'm forgetting a few of them.
There's several of them.
We're on all of them except
But
for
we're checking the email
Apple.
every hour for that Apple podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's where
We can't wait until we get out there on that with them.
Yeah, so
But
but we appreciate y'all so much. We appreciate the listeners that have listened to us.
Yeah.
And keep listening. It's only going to get better, I promise.
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go that far. But yeah. Anyway,
I have hope in us.
until next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.